Good midnight. It is the witching hour, and you're listening to Exe Files Paranormal Radio on Phonic FM, 106.8 in Exeter and www.phonic.fm. If you're checking us out online, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Alison Rockbrand, and I'm here with my co-host, Richard Freeman. Hello, Richard.
Hello, and hello, wireless listeners.
We have an excellent show tonight. We are doing a music show, which is something we do from time to time, and we're going to be playing some esoteric, pagan, dare I say, thelemic, and other magical with a K music. So that's going to be very exciting. Also, in the future, when we put all this stuff up online, which is going to be happening very soon, you can have your choice between a couple of music shows and, of course, our normal interview shows. So if you just want to listen to an esoteric playlist with some commentary by me and Richard, you will have that opportunity. So this is going to be one of those shows. So great. Well, you have just been listening to Hawkwind, the song Master of the Universe from the album Space Ritual, and that was, of course, not the entire song, which is 7 minutes long, so we decided not to play the whole thing. But that is that, and yeah, nice song, excellent song. Richard is back from the Weird Weekend after our hiatus last week, which we decided to take a little time off, a little hiatus, but we are back, and Richard's back from the Weird Weekend. He's going to be telling us a little bit about what happened, what went on, a little report back, and in a moment, right after that, we are going to have a special news section, which we are calling Screen to Scream, magical film and TV with John Pertwee. He's going to be talking about esoteric, pagan, magical horror themes in television and film, and so he's going to be on the line, on the phone, in a couple of minutes. So Richard, take it away, give us a report from the Weird Weekend North.
Get off me radish! Yeah, the Weird Weekend has been running now for 17 years. The initial original Weird Weekend was always in the southwest, and it started off in a scout hut in Exwick, and there were more speakers than there were attendees, but gradually it's got bigger and bigger and bigger over the years, and this year, for the first time ever, there's been a second Weird Weekend, the Weird Weekend North, which was held in a place called Rixton with Glazebrook, which I'd never heard of before. It's a little village in Cheshire. And next year, Weird Weekend is going international. And there's going to be a Weird Weekend Scandinavia held in Copenhagen by my friend Lars Thomas. Now, Weird Weekend North was first mooted by and organised by a chap called Glenn Vaudry. And we've had lots of interesting speakers over the weekend. I won't have time to talk about them all. I'll just cherry pick a few bits and bobs. One of the speakers was the legendary Fortean artist, cartoonist Hunt Emerson, and Hunt has been illustrating Fortean Times now since the early 70s, and as well as that, he's done all sorts of comic strips all over the place. Some of you may remember Firkin the Cat from Fiesta. that was one of his, but he spoke about his history in Fortean cartooning and how he first got involved in the early 70s with Bob Rickard and Fortean Times. He'd never heard of Forteana before, and he discovered this whole bizarre world. And recently he's been doing cartoons about the lives of the great occultists. And throughout the weekend he did brilliant cartoons of not only the speakers but attendees who could ask for pictures themselves with a cryptid of their choice. So of course I was the first one in the line, and he did a fantastic cartoon of me with the Tasmanian wolf. There was a chap called Alan Murdy, who's an old friend of mine, who's one of the speakers. He's a barrister, and he's also the chairman of the Ghost Club when he's not being a barrister. And he was talking about poltergeists and the way that his thoughts about them have changed over the years. Originally, he thought that they were emanations from the human mind. It was a form of unconscious telekinesis. But now it's looking more and more like that these are entities that are separate. These are independent entities. And he talked about a very interesting case about a house that was supposedly haunted by the ghost of a 17th century young French nobleman. And this ghost this old poltergeist rather communicated on through letters. A paper was pushed under the door of a locked room, and it would write. And there are literally about 500 of these letters that this thing has written, and they've been looked at, and it looks like it's in proper French, or they're not spelt very well. But I can't spell very well in English, so there's apparently a book about it, and really they need to catalogue the whole lot. It's very, very strange, very interesting, and the woman who was involved in it, she was a little girl at the time, she said that it ruined her life. It was terrifying. Certainly not what you think from a hoaxer. A guy called Rob Gandy did a very good talk on phantom hitchhikers in a particular area of the Cheshire Moors. On this quite small area, there's been a lot of weird sightings along this one stretch of road where people are driving along. They look up, they're alone in a car usually, they look up, and in the mirror they can see an old man sitting in the back seat, and he's always described as the same, wearing a sort of necktie, a cap, a long coat, looking sort of like the turn of the last century. No explanation for who he is, where he comes from. He just turns up on this one piece of road. Another chap called Mick Walters talked about a series of strange communications called the Doddleston messages, after the little town that this case came from. And this happened in 1980 when computers were very rudimentary, and it's about some teachers that had taken a school computer home to use, and they would come back after they'd been out and find messages on it. And don't forget, this is before the days of the internet, and they were claiming to be from some guy in the 1500s, and they got a communication with this guy communicating across time, and then another person came in saying that they were from the future. They were controlling the whole time experiment. Now the weird thing is, when you look at the writing, the style of writing that it was done in, the guy from the 1500s is writing in correct English for that time. The guy from the future is using weird little abbreviations, like putting U, the letter U, instead of U. And if you look at it now, it looks like text speak, but this was back in 1980. It was very strange. But the whole weekend was very interesting. We had everything from British man-beast sightings to urban legends in Liverpool, all sorts of things. And hopefully it'll go on like the standard Weird Weekend and last for years and years and years.
Well, thanks very much for that, Richard. Some of these people are going to be coming onto the show, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. We are going to have some of these interesting speakers interviewed here on the show. We're going to have two more songs now, and then Screen to Scream with John Pertwee. So we're going to play a couple of jazz tunes. We have Bessie Smith, Blue Spirit Blues from 1929, and we're going to play some music from a friend of mine who lives in Austin, Texas now, but I knew her from Montreal, Canada, where I'm from, and I knew her because we both got kicked off the same government-sponsored art collective, and I met her because people kept coming up to me saying, "You remind me of this woman, Izzy Cox. She yells just as much as you do," and apparently we were both quite loud and yelled a lot. So this is her song "Devil Devil," and before that, Bessie Smith and Blue Spirit Blues.
Jazz, great.
Made me moan and groan was glad I came. Demons with the eyelids dripping blood. Demons with the eyelids dripping blood. Dragging sinners through that brimstone flood. This is hell I cried with all my might. This is hell I cried with all my might. Oh, my soul, I can't bear the sight. Start running, 'cause it is my cup. Start running, 'cause it is my cup. Run so fast till someone woke me up.
Now where I find help, this love of mine, the devil has got him in the middle of the night.
Good midnight. Welcome back to the show. You are listening to Exe Files Paranormal Radio on Phonic FM 106.8 in Exeter. I am Alison Rockbrand, and I'm here with my co-host Richard Freeman. Hello, Richard.
Hello, and hello, wireless listeners.
You are listening to our music show. We are doing esoteric, pagan, magical, dare I say, thelemic music. You have just been listening to Bessie Smith, Blue Spirit Blues. That's from 1929. And a friend of mine, who lives now in Austin, Texas, Izzy Cox, and her song Devil Devil. You can check out Izzy Cox online. She's got lots of other songs, lots of other interesting music. She also makes these really awesome voodoo dolls. She's extremely crafty. As I said, I met her in an art collective, which we both got kicked out of. We were both notorious, and people kept saying to me, "You remind me of this woman. You remind me of this woman, Izzy Cox." And finally, of course, I had to meet her, and of course, I loved her. She's brilliant, and check her out on Facebook. Check out her music. It's in various compilations. This is from a compilation called Roots. Deep Roots. I can't remember the name of it now. It's for some reason I haven't written it here, but it's in a compilation. But she of course has her own independent CDs, and she produces independent music and so on. So check her out, Izzy Cox, Devil Devil. So we have a new segment coming up right now. It is called Screen to Scream with John Pertwee. And John is going to be telling us about some esoteric, magical, pagan-themed TV. Hello, John. Hello, John.
Hello, John.
I don't know if he's there, Richard. I think he might have... Okay.
Hi, you there, John? Yeah, he's on the phone.
He's on the phone. Okay, I'll press the button again.
Hang on, we're trying to patch you in.
Patch you through.
Oh, there he is. There. Okay, you're on now. Sorry, it's my fault. I don't know. The button wasn't pressed. Okay. Hello, John.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay, thank you. Fantastic.
We've just been telling the listeners about your new segment, which we are calling Screen to Scream.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah. I'm fascinated. I'm very excited. It's going to be fascinating. Magical film and TV with John Pertwee. So. Yeah. That's what we're calling it. This is the first ever segment of it. So take it away.
Well, this week we're going to be talking about Kolchak the Night Stalker. And basically, this show itself ran for 20 episodes. Each one was 50 minutes long. It was the idea of a guy called Jeff Rice, who created it, who wrote a series of stories called the Kolchak Papers. And it dealt with a fictional newspaper guy, Cole Kolchak, who was down at heel and worked for a very, very small, independent backwater newspaper. His rather aggressive, mouthy boss, Tony Vincenzo, insisted that he kind of goes and covers fairs and he covers car crashes and things like that. Turns out now each week, Carl has to investigate different creatures that come along the way. So instead of it being one week where he just finds a vampire, each week he finds a vampire, or he finds a werewolf, or he finds a robot monster, or he finds something nasty lurking in the sewers under the city. The show was run very much by ABC, and it became one of the top-ranking pilot shows ever, full stop. And it was hosted by the marvellously craggy-faced Darren McGavin, who played Carl Kolchak to a T. Now, the thing is, behind the scenes, Alison, Darren McGavin wasn't too happy with the role, and he was tremendously grumbly that the fact that they were using a monster of the week. He didn't like that idea at all, and he executively produced the show and wasn't credited for it. And Jeff Rice, the guy who created the character of Kolchak, was tremendously miffed that they'd picked up and run with it and had a success. And he sued the studio, and he was insistent that they weren't going to make any more of it. So there was kind of a settlement behind the scenes, and Jeff Rice was very happy. And they went on and they made 20 magnificent episodes. To give you an idea of some of the creatures that were there was one particular one called Horror in the Heights, which had... Do you remember Phil Silvers from Bilko? Yeah, he played a resident who kind of lived in this pensioners block, and there was a creature called a Rakshasa, which looked exactly like someone that you loved and trusted. And of course, just before it killed you, it lured you into its embrace and then destroyed you, and it was this giant 7-foot-tall, great, hairy beastie. But McGavin managed to carry the show perfectly. He was the complete and utter star. Even though the ratings were tremendously good on the opening few episodes, the network messed it around and moved it around and put it on almost in a graveyard slot, and then it killed the show. Now, what happened is the show was going to come back in the 70s, slightly later on, maybe recast, but again, they just didn't like the idea, and Darren McGavin by that time was thoroughly cheesed off with the whole idea. And when it came back, they recast it with a very, very young, pretty guy called Stuart Townsend, who played Dorian Gray in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen film. Completely and utterly miscast, and they wanted Darren McGavin to appear in the opening episodes. By that time, he'd just had enough. He didn't want anything to do with it. So Stuart Townsend, who was very young and very pretty, they tried to get an Exe Files vibe on it, because the creator of the Exe Files, Chris Carter, had said that Kolchak was the inspiration for that show. Of course, without Darren McGavin's presence, without the charm of the original series, Kolchak the Night Stalker, the remake, disappeared. Now it lies in the hands of Walt Disney, who want to completely update it, and they want to cast Richard Freeman lookalike Johnny Depp as the role of Carl Kolchak. So Disney have got the rights to Kolchak the Night Stalker, but if anyone who wants to see proper industrial, strong as nails Carl Kolchak as played by Darren McGavin, there's a company called Moonstone Books who produce a marvelous set of comics and books and all sorts of things tied in with the original show.
That's great, John. That's really interesting. I've seen Kolchak the Night Stalker. I think it was for a while either on Netflix or on something else.
That's it. It was.
And I think you can get it. It's online in various places. So
it's out on DVD as well.
It is. It's one glorious box set.
And in my opinion, it is the very best show that has ever come out of the USA.
It is.
And it's in the top 5 TV shows of all time. And it's a crime that it only lasted for 20 episodes. It's infinitely better than The Exe Files. Yeah. Far better.
The Exe Files, even though it's had a tremendous success when it's come back, they recently cast a character to look like Carl Kolchak.
Wow.
And he was turned out to be this reptilian character, but he had the seersucker hat and the suit and everything like that. So it was a homage to the character, but it just needs to come back, really.
The thing that I really loved about it was not just Darren McGavin playing such a compelling and wonderful character, but it was the whole pantheon of characters around him, like Ron Updike, who's the whiny office sneak, and the little old lady, what was her name? The little old lady that did all the flower shows, and then his boss Vincenzo, fantastic.
Yeah, it was an awesome show, and it was repeated in the early 90s by the Sci-Fi Channel, who showed it as a ridiculous o'clock, and then by BBC Two on a program called Mystery Train, which was hosted by Richard O'Brien. So it's nice to see that there are still fans out there, and Chris Carter, as I say, who created the Exe Files, is a massive fan of the show, and I think if the Exe Files kind of treads asunder, he might try and tie in with Disney. But it's a little disturbing to think it's sitting in an office somewhere with Johnny Depp penciled in as Carl Kolchak.
Yeah, I don't see how that's going to work.
If Disney has the rights to it, it's screwed completely.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It seems like maybe it was a little bit ahead of its time, because and speaking of sort of Johnny Depp type of characters, there's numerous shows now, such as Supernatural, Grimm. I don't know if you've seen these shows, but these shows follow a very similar style in that every week is a different type of monster. In the show Grimm, the guy chases a different monster each week.
Absolutely.
There was a show called The Dresden Files that reminded me about it, and that also only lasted one series, about a wizard in Chicago who's actually in the phone book, and you can phone him up to come and deal with things.
Yeah, but
that sounds ace. But again, it was. I think Darren McGavin never managed to get away from the shadow of Carl Kolchak, largely because it was so good.
Yeah, what's your favourite episode?
It's Horror in the Heights, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt.
That's a classic with the shape-shifting Rakshasa from Hindu mythology.
It is awesome. But I also like the one, his name escapes me, but the one with the lizard looking after the
Sentinel, which is basically almost a rip-off of the Doctor Who story, the Silurians, from 4 years earlier. It was Kolchak meets the Silurians. I'm rather fond of the Spanish moss murders.
Yes, that's completely bonkers. And there's one of them, I think it's that one. It's got Eric Estrada in it. Is that the one, the guy who later went on to be in Chips?
It's about the guy he's taking part in a sleep experiment, and he's been sent to sleep for a month or something and fed intravenously, but not been allowed to dream. So his dreams take on physical form outside of his body, like a thought form.
That's it, yeah.
And it summons up this creature from his childhood in the swamps of Louisiana, which is this shambling thing covered with with Spanish moss that crushes people to death.
That's a lot like me on a Friday night.
Yeah.
But again, it was a complete difference of the fact that none of the episodes were the same, and the fact that the monsters and the way that the whole series was shot made it dark and tremendously scary.
That's great. Thanks very much for that. That's been absolutely fascinating, and we're going to have you back on, of course, as a regular
Thank you very much.
thing, and talk about some other films and television. And Richard said you might do books as well at a certain point.
Yes, absolutely. Of course I will. I'll be happy to.
And speaking of Rakshasa, we have some Hindu-themed music coming up, so listen in to that, John. And thanks very much. That's a lovely little segue for us.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again next time.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Alison.
Thanks,
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so as mentioned, we have 2 other songs coming up now. We have Quran's on Machine. Okay, we have Quran's on Machine, which was a musical play by Metamorphic Ritual Theatre, headed up by Oriol de Fenestrate. He's also a friend of mine. He's been on the show. I performed with him a couple of times. This was from his production with his company Metamorphic Ritual Theatre quite a while ago now, about 10 years ago. This song is called Kali Yuga. And after that, we're going to have some actual raga music, a song called Shiba Shiba Shiba. And we'll be back right after that.
Shiva 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 Shankara Adideva Shankara Adideva Shambhu Bholanatha Yogi Mahadeva Shiva 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 Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Adi Anta Shiva Mahabali Shiva Adi Anta Shiva Purana Sagala Kaja Hara Hara Mahadeva Shiva 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 Shankara Adideva Shankara Adideva Shambhu Bholanatha Shambhu Bholanatha Yogi Mahadeva Shiva 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 Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Adi Anta Shiva Mahabali Shiva Adi Anta Shiva Purana Sakala Kaja Hara Hara Mahadeva Shiva 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 Shambhu Bholanatha Yogi Mahadeva Shambhu Bholanatha Yogi Mahadeva Mahadeva Yogi Mahadeva Shiva 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 Shankara Adideva Shambhu Shiva 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 Bali 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 Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Bali Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Adi Anta Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Mahabali Shiva Adi Anta Shiva Mahabali Shiva Adi Anta Shiva Purana Sakala God Hara Hara Mahadeva Shiva 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 Shankara Adideva Shankara Adideva Shambhu Bholanatha Yogi Mahadeva Shiva 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 Shiva
Good midnight and welcome back to Exe Files Paranormal Radio on Phonic FM 106.8. I'm your host, Alison Rockbrand, and I'm here with my co-host, Richard Freeman. Hello, Richard.
Hello, and hello, wireless listeners.
I think Richard was just completely tranced out during that last Shiva 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 song. We weren't going to play the whole thing, but then we just went into a complete Shiva trance, and so we did. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was the Crayons on Machine Metamorphic Ritual Theatre Kali Yuga from their live theatre production, and Shiva 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 Raga Adana by Gudensha Brothers from Drupad Mala album Volume 1. So do check out some of that music. We've had John Pertwee on the show just now, giving us some fascinating info on Kolchak Night Stalker, the television show, as part of our new segment, which we're trying out, called Screen to Scream: Magical Film and TV with John Pertwee. So I think that went very well. What do you think?
Yes, very well, and a good choice for
excellent.
The first episode.
Yeah, really, really interesting. So we're going to have some more of that. And he was talking about Rakshasas during that, because of one of the episodes of Night Stalker. So we had the perfect music for that, I feel, and we were able to segue very, very nicely into some Hindu inspired music. We have 3 more songs, and then we might have time for last song. We have a couple of classics and one local group. So we have Incubus Succubus, the song Witches. Now, we've already played this song before on the show, of course, but this is a version from 1990, and this is apparently the earliest version of the song, and I don't think we've played this version before, but I listened to it earlier, and I thought it was awesome. So we're going to play that. After that, Kate Bush, King of the Mountain. Now, this is from a relatively new album, 2005. And so it's a good song. And after that, we have Beltane Border Morris. And this is a local Morris group, pagan Morris dancing. And I first saw them on Exeter High Street one day. I was just walking around and I heard this bang, 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 just really good music, and I was like, what's going on? And then I saw these people dressed completely in it's Border Morris, so they have the black face and the top hat, and the black face a little bit controversial, definitely, but nevertheless, I noticed that they were wearing pagan symbols around their necks, and I thought, ooh, these people are pagans for sure. And then I asked, who are they? And they were Beltane Border Morris, and so yes, I'm a Morris dancer myself, and I might be going to join them next year. We shall see. And so we are going to be listening to Fire Dance, and we'll be back shortly after that.
fill up his home with priceless junk. The wind is whistling, the wind is whistling through the house. Notice how you have this somewhere, looking like a happy man.
Good midnight. We are just at the end of our program. I'm your host, Alison Rockbrand, and I'm here with Richard Freeman. Hello, Richard.
Hello, and hello, wireless listeners.
You've just been listening to the last 3 songs of our music program. We had Incubus Succubus, which is an early version from 1990, Kate Bush, King of the Mountain, that's a 2005 album, and local group Beltane Border Morris. They are Morris dancers, but they also have CDs out. Check them out online, buy their CDs. They are brilliant. That was Fire Dance. Next week we have Steve Jones, who Richard was talking about being at the Weird Weekend. He is going to be talking about hooded entities.
Yeah, he was Britain's first pagan magistrate, and he'll be talking about strange hooded entities that people I think are ghostly monks, but he's got an idea that there's something a lot stranger.
Right, so that's going to be next week. He's also going to be obviously bringing a couple of musical tunes and playing some music, so we'll have a little bit of music next week. Steve Jones, and we have one more song for you to take you out. We have Sleep Chamber, Weapons of Magic from the album Sex Magic Ritual, and have a listen to that, and we will see you next week. Oh, yes, one more thing. Do check us out on our Facebook page, Exe Files, Paranormal Radio 106.8, and share us and like us, please. We need to be liked. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week. Good midnight.
Hellfire, Ravioli, Coffee, Day,